Hey everyone, I'm here with Chapter 8, the last chapter, by the way, of The Hotel I Worked At Was Haunted. So without further ado, let's get started. I went to a religious supply store the next morning and bought myself the most aggressive-looking crucifixes I could find. I bought 3 rosaries to hang around my neck. I bought a Bible. I even went and had a priest bless some water for me. To tell you the truth, I had no idea what I was doing. I suppose my plan was to burst into room 323, throw some holy water on 2 psycho baby killer demons that wanted my blood, to wake a sleeping super demon, and try to subdue them by hitting them with a Bible and poking them with the crucifixes. Trust me, at the time, it felt as stupid as it sounds here. Well, I got to work on Thursday night and relieved the day shift employees. I sat around for a while with my religious paraphernalia on my person, trying to muster up the courage to go to room 323 shortly after the bartender left. The lights dimmed. All the sound escaped the room. It was time. I knew it, and they knew it. Whatever was going to happen now. I walk up the stairs to the 3rd floor and make my way to the infamous hallway. The 2 lights at the end of the hall shone bright at the apex, as if to remind me where to go. I walked down and reached room 323. The door creaked open on its own, letting the red light seep into the hallway. There was a metal table with skirts in the middle of the room above a small pit, with a container on a track underneath the tabletop. The same type of platform from the Polaroids that accompanied the ever informative legal pads. That was what they had hoped to have me laying on in due time. I continued walking to room 323. The door was closed. I used my master key to unlock the electronic lock and pushed the handle down. I hesitated a bit before pushing the door open. Everything in me was telling me to turn around and run. And don't stop running. But I knew if I did that, this would never end. I would be hunted until I was caught. I would just be delaying the inevitable. I inched the door open. I didn't realize I had been looking down towards the floor until I redirected my eyes up and found Mario standing at the crack in the door with a violently angry grimace adorning his face. The door flew open. Yet Mario stood in the same place, almost as if the door simply passed through him. Not too far-fetched, I'd say, given everything. Mario breathed deeply and heavily, his chest heaving with every inhale. The anger in his eyes was mesmerizing. I managed to break my gaze, and look past him to see Marion posing in a curtsy in the back of the room, smiling her fearsome grin. I'm not sure which face frightened me more at the time. I hadn't realized it, but I was holding up my 3 rosaries that hung from my neck in front of me, and to my surprise, it seemed to keep Mario at bay. Suddenly, he spoke. Do you not understand what your destiny is? I do. I'm just not exactly okay with getting fucking stabbed and burnt and having blood pour all over me, I said, with far more confidence than I previously thought I'd have. No matter what you do, you can't stop this. So do it. I spoke without thinking. I immediately thought, why the hell would I taunt a demon? To my relief, Mario didn't move. He just glared at me. I began to speak. I was cut off. Not like interrupted, but my voice just stopped working. Everything warped around me. Walls caved in, then bubbled out. Sound erupted from no discernible place. Everything interrupted only by random bouts of complete silence, which proved to be equally as deafening. Lights flared and dimmed simultaneously, blinding me and offering me comfort at the same time. I blacked out. When I came to, I was laying in the middle of the floor in room 325. I was awoken by something dripping on my face. Before I was fully coherent, I used my finger to check what time it was. To check what it was. I don't know what that time. To check what it was. It was indeed blood. I looked up, and as you guessed it, hanging over me was a rudimentary canopy made out of a wooden frame that hadn't been in the room when I looked in there earlier. Hanging from that canopy was a body. Each arm, leg, and everything else was tied by a sheet to a corner of the wooden frame. Then mass of the body, sagging lower than the rest. Intestines and other vital organs hanging halfway up the gash in the victim's back. It was when I came fully that I recognized the clothing the body was wearing. It was the bartender. Fuck. I had been responsible for his death. Maybe not directly, but I hadn't acted fast enough. Fuck. Shame and regret coursed through my veins like a hit of heroin, momentarily paralyzing me with guilt. I couldn't stop feeling sorry for myself, though. I sat up and saw the Kennedys standing in the corner of the room. I reached to my neck for the rosaries, but grabbed at nothing but air. They were gone. Marion held up the rosaries and laughed with her signature crackling howl. The crucifix I bought was resting on the Bible, which sat atop a small table next to the Kennedys. Well, there goes that plan. Blood surrounded the floor around me. I was next to the metal platform. I used it to pull myself up from the floor, nearly slipping on the red coat of coagulating liquid that slicked the carpet below me. In an instant, Marion was face to face with me. So long it seemed that we've been waiting for this, she said. I didn't know how to respond. I felt helpless. I felt I was in the final moments of my life. Subconsciously, I resolved all the internal conflicts that weighed heavily inside me. I silently made amends to those I'd wronged in life and regretted certain past decisions I'd made. I raised a hand to wipe away a tear from my eye, and my hand descended back from the face to the side of my body. It brushed against my pocket and just barely felt the small tube of holy water I had placed there moments before walking down the highway. While Marion talked, staring intently into my eyes, I, with all the grace I could summon, removed the tube from my pocket and twisted off the cap. On the top was a screen, so one could flick the wrist and sprinkle holy water, like they do in Catholic church services. I truly hope you know how great of a service you're doing. Rizal will be so grateful for your sacrifice. The blood of so many will proudly spill into the future because of your blood spilling today. Shall we begin the right there where a CSI, Miami or Bruce Campbell-esque one-liner would have fit like a puzzle piece. A list of them ran through my head. Sacrifice this. I'd rather spill some holy water. You look like you could use a shower. But this isn't a movie, and I'm not a shitty actor. So instead, I said absolutely nothing. I raised my arm and shook the tube, which sprinkled holy water onto Marion. Instead of scalding her skin, which is what I'd been led to believe would happen by years of exorcism movies, she flew back against the wall as if hit by a wrecking ball. I quickly composed myself and tossed holy water at the already advancing Mario, sending him back with the same force as his twisted lover. I looked at them, and they were both incapacitated. All I could think was, wow, how incredibly, ridiculously easy that was. What did I even have to be scared about? I felt like the man. What? Wow, how incredibly, ridiculously easily. What did I even have to be scared about? I felt like the man. Now I had to sacrifice him. I need to show this fucked up demon that I wasn't the one to tussle with. Apparently I kept the holy water clutched between my thumb and index finger as I dragged Marion's body to the platform. It took some elbow grease. The full weight of the lifeless demon ghost is not much different from that of a living person. I retrieved a bedsheet from the closet while keeping an eye on Mario, who laid in the corner unconscious. I placed the sheet over Marion's body. The door to the room creaked open. I readied the holy water and found myself in a state of instant panic. Much to my relief, Arthur Whitmore himself entered the room. You will need someone to conduct the ceremonial interview and necessary chants. That will be my duty. He then extended his hand, in it a long blade with a thick handle. I took it from him and stood at the head of the platform, all while keeping my peripheral vision focused on Mario. Nicholas Jacob Botic, do you offer the soul in the name of the infernal Rizal? I do. Do you intend to enter into a sacred truce with Rizal? I do. Do you agree to abide by his order for fear external damnation? I do, I spread it out, not knowing what I was agreeing to. Everything was happening so fast, I didn't give myself any time to listen to what was being said to me. It's only in retrospect that I'm able to relay these words to you. Then, without further ado, please commence with the offering. I took the blade and, without hesitation, repeatedly stabbed at the covered body of Marion Kennedy. Blood soaked through the white sheet that cloaked her body, the blade going clear through her to the hold metal surface on which she laid. Her blood drip. I heard blood drip through the holes into the bowl underneath. I stabbed until I felt as if my arm was going to fall off. All the while, Marion was completely and utterly silent. She didn't move an inch. I don't know if she was unconscious through it all or if she was just as any one-woman ghost could be. I didn't really care at this point. Arthur Whitmore simply stood and admired what I was doing. He mentioned for me to continue on with Mario, whose body I'd laid halfway on top of his now thoroughly filleted lover. I repeated the process, thrusting the long blade into him, twisting and turning it as I retrieved it from his body. By the time I was done, I was out of breath. Now it was time to burn the bodies. My first thought was, how am I going to have a bonfire in the hotel room without having this whole place burn up and go into flames? Arthur spoke as if he could read my thoughts. Don't worry, the flames will fall into themselves. These spirits will burn harder than any other earthly flame. It will be more of a contained burn than a roaring fire. Who was I to argue logic? Nothing else here made sense. Why would this? Arthur handed me a back of matches after I was finished stuffing the bodies into a small pit. Don't forget to retrieve the blood, Arthur reminded me. I slid the bowl of demon blood off the tracks and set it on the tabletop behind me. An odor I had not noticed before marinated into the room, stinging my nostrils. I imagine it was the stench of a rotting corpse. I looked at the bodies of the Kennedys and noticed they were decomposing at an alarming rate. I took this as a sign that I must make haste. I struck a match and dropped it into the pit. As the fire erupted, flames shot high into the ceiling, then subsided. And just as Whitmore had said, the flames burned only an inch over the bodies, engulfing them and the table on which they rested completely, but kept the rest of the room safe. The smell of burning flesh permeated the air, nearly making me gag. Arthur and I stood there in silence and just watched. As the fire began, well, sorry guys, I don't know what happened to my mic. I'm not sure if you guys heard before that or after that, so I'm going to just reread from there. As the fire began to subside, Arthur nodded towards the bowl of blood. I retrieved the bowl and took it into the platform. I poured a bit over the smoldering bodies, which by this point were nearly bones, and even those were turning to ash. I then slid the table over and poured the rest of the contents of the bowl onto the fire pit, extinguishing the flame. I had done it. I had sacrificed 2 demons to a more dangerous demon. I looked at Arthur, only he looked different. He looked like Mariel and Marion did. That grin on his face that they would have. A disgusting, wide, toothy grin. Thank you, Arthur muttered through his teeth. For what? I asked uneasily. There was an immediate, palpable tension in the air. Arthur laughed a crackling howl. For fulfilling your duties, they were going to be able to give me one day on Earth. They were going to be able to give me one day on the Earth. You will give me countless days. I tried wrapping my mind around what the fuck was happening. I am pleased to make your acquaintance, he said. He took a bow, and was all. Fear ravaged through my body, making me feel more sick to my stomach than I had already had been from the smell of rotting bodies. I watched as Arthur's skin began to fall off his face. The demon ripped the clothes from his body, and his true form became clear. He was a hideous monster with 3 horns. His feet were hooves, His hands were more like bird talons. His skin was jet black. His eyes were like pure white, large marbles. His teeth were sharp and jagged, crooked, and his rows and in rows in his mouth. He swiped his right hoof twice. He opened his deformed mouth and let out a roar. That is the last thing I remember of that night. I woke up back at the front desk. I don't know why, but something compelled me to quit right then and there. Now I know. I suppose I owe it to you guys to explain what exactly happened. When I quit the hotel, I went straight home. I took a shower. After that, I went to my sister's house to visit her newborn son. I took mental notes and figured out when would be the best time for me to kidnap my nephew in order to sacrifice him. You see, Mario and Marion were confined to the hotel. They were ghosts, or ghost demons, whatever. But me, I had access to another male from the Whitmore bloodline. I could create more males from the Whitmore bloodline. It is all masqueraded as Arthur Whitmore. He can appear as a ghost if need be, but he can't directly harm humans unless he's walking the earth in human form, as Arthur. He had me learn summoning rituals and had me summon him to me personally. That way he was connected to me. Then he had me perform a sacrifice. He knew I wouldn't sacrifice a human, so he had Mario and Marion be my victim under the ruse that it would stop Urzal from hurting me and hunting me down. Sorry guys, hunting me and hurting me. In reality, sacrificing a demon to Urzal only makes him stronger. Oh, and I learned that holy water didn't do anything. Urzal just led me to believe it had. In reality, he threw them against the wall hard enough to knock them unconscious. Rizal explained to me that I was indeed the chosen one. Through the mistakes of summoning and forsaking Rizal before performing the sacrifice, Arthur Whitmore had opened a door. As I explained earlier, that door was the opportunity to walk the earth by sacrificing the males from his bloodline. I was just unlucky enough to be the first boy born in a few generations. Since I was able to be found at the Whitmore as prophesied by Rizal, I was the easiest target. I could create more male descendants to the Whitmore bloodline. I now spend days in seclusion. I stalk and hunt victims. I impregnate as many women as I can, be it through consensual relations or not. Usually not, and I wait. I wait until the sperm fertilizes the egg and sacrifice the woman in a ritual. Sometimes it would have been a boy, sometimes it's not. Either way, Rizal is pleased. He thoroughly enjoys the days he gets to walk on Earth. These can be recognized as any days that include a larger than normal death toll somewhere in the world. Obviously not every case, but certainly the more sinister ones. I do this because I was shown hell, and I do not want to go there again. I have to do this until it's my time. If I do, Rizal promises me I won't have to go back there. He said there's another place I can go. I don't really know if I believe him, but it's the only thing that keeps me going. This being said, that may be, after all this, something will be better. I'm sorry if this isn't the ending you were looking for. It's just this is my life now. I intended to tell my story completely and accurately, and this is it. It's time for me to go now. I've been watching a woman on Fuller Street for a few days now, and it seems pretty easy. So I guess I'm gonna go do it. Well, goodbye, Nick. Well, that's a pretty fucked up ending. Not at all what I expected. I apologize if that upset you. It really bothered me. Um, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it really actually disgusted me. It bothers me a lot to read this. Anything where there's death of children, mostly more. So I'm not saying it's better that adults, but more. I feel bad for children because they don't get to live to being an adult or a teenager, even. Not that it's any better for an adult, but I don't know. Maybe that makes me like a sicko, but like a kid should have the ability to live life. You know what I mean? This has been one fucked up story. Like, I don't know how people can be so heartless, so cruel to just kill people for this. Whatever the hell you want this to be. Wow, that's pretty fucked. Trying to look through the list of other Reddit stories to read, and I think I found it. It's going to be a one episode thing, no chapters. So, anyways, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Like I said, I apologize. I'm cussing like crazy because that really it's disturbing to me because there's kids being killed in very disturbing ways. Again, not that other ways, like just if they get shot only, is less disturbing or better, but fuck, when they go into detail like that shit's pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? So I apologize if that, fucked you up a little bit. I don't read these through. I should have read this through, seeing as last time it went in detail. I don't think that it says anything about graphic violence being used. I don't know, maybe it does. I don't know if there's any. I'd have to go through a shit ton of these, so I'm not going to bother doing that. But I just realized that there's one that said there's like the series, graphic violence. I might do the one with the series because I like series stories where there's multiple chapters, especially long chapters, which this is a pretty long chapter. It's a series only and then no series. I don't know what the fuck happened there. So I'm just going to do the one with graphic violence. I don't know. See whatever you guys want. If you guys want graphic violence, I'll do that one. If you guys want the series one that has no series for whatever odd reason, kind of weird, I'll do that one. And as always, guys, if you guys have your own stories, you guys can email me, and the email will be listed in the description down below, as well as on the odd time, other information that I want you guys to read. So keep your eyes peeled in the description as well as listening. If you guys do happen to look at my beautiful face, my beautiful self, in that circle in the middle of your screen. If you have this in full screen, then you guys are just tuning everything else out and listening. If not, I highly recommend you do that because that will probably relieve a lot of the stress. But yeah, other than that, thanks for listening, guys. Rate, subscribe, and comment. Share this if you guys want. Okay, this episode maybe not. I don't want someone else to get fucked up mentally. Pardon my French, but that's the way I gotta say it because this is pretty messed up shit, and I don't want people getting scared, especially stuff like goes into detail about death. Like I believe I mentioned in episode 1, I listened to Takedown Man do the readout of the Confessions of a Serial Killer, Rabbit Cannibal. That once you get into a couple episodes in, gets really, really disgusting and messed up in details about what the guy did to his victims, and I'd listen to that shit at night, and that's probably not the best idea. And I don't think I'll be listening to any of these fucking stories anytime soon. So, yeah. This is episode 1. My hotel was the hotel I worked at was haunted. And I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Till next time.